Hello, everyone. I am super excited. I have just been on a podcast interview with someone, and now we are about to do something really cool. So, how many of you would really love to grow your impact and to grow your reach on social media and to not feel so alone in your business? Like, I know that for me, one of the big things is when we're trying to do it all by ourselves, it can be really lonely. Who would agree? Like, drop it in the comments if you've ever felt alone in your business. It can be really hard also when we're trying to look for clients individually on social media. So I am super excited for this person who is about to jump on. We are going to have an awesome conversation about how to explode your sales and how to impact on an even bigger level. So let's just bring her. I haven't done this in ages, so I'm scared. It says that it's adding her. So this is something that massively makes a huge, huge difference. And here she is. Oh my God, how exciting. Oh Welcome, Jill. So Jill, let me give Jill a little bit of a thing. So Jill is someone who is massive at helping people to get podcast interviews, and I am awesome at social media. So we thought that we would have a discussion today about how can we freaking reach more people and not work hard on social media all by our little lonesomes, right? So Jill is awesome at getting you podcast interviews. So we are going to talk about how to leverage strategic systems to be able to grow your reach. And guess what happens? When you grow your reach with loyal raving fans, it means you also grow your sales. So welcome, Jill. I'm so excited you are here.
I am so excited too. This is the first time I've ever actually gone live on Facebook, and never was I able to go live with someone else. So I'm learning something so new today.
And we literally just decided to do this live after I did her podcast interview because I wanted to show her how to do it. And also because this woman is a powerhouse. Guys, if you are doing business alone, you've heard me say it before, you are doing it the hard way. And I'm so excited to be doing a masterclass about this and the social media part of the strategy. So Jill, tell me, why do people need to get interviewed? Whether it's get interviewed on podcasts like what you're doing, or it's get interviewed on social media like what we're doing.
It helps you reach your ideal clients, especially if you're paying attention to where you're going to have your discussion. Like, just hopping on random podcasts is not going to help you. You're not going to find your ideal clients. Kind of like hopping into random groups, because we were talking about that today too.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, like you said, some people will just get on any podcast, but I love that you said to people that it's not about getting on any podcast or any person's social media. It's about getting on the social media of people who have our audience already gathered, of people who have created loyal raving fans that love them, that trust them, so that when I get on Jill's social media or her podcast and Jill gets on mine, we're leveraging each other's audience who already know and like and trust us. So it helps us to go from targeting cold strangers on social media to being able to connect with people who already have warmed up an audience for us, which shortens the sales conversation in some places, but it definitely shortens the period of, warming people up on social media because they already know Jill.
Yeah, and they may already know you.
Exactly.
So we're lending each other credibility.
Exactly. And that is massive, isn't it, for sales conversions and being able to reach people, because Jill has a massive audience. She also has a top podcast, right? I have a targeted audience. So together we can help each other. We're complementary to each other in some way. Jill talks about getting on to people's podcasts and getting on to interviews, which is not my genius zone, right? And I talk about, well, how do you find the people that you can actually engage with?
Yeah, and it's really important when you're going on these interviews, for podcasts especially, that you know what you want to talk about, and you know what the next step is that you want the people who are listening to take, and that you are prepared for the interview. I think that's the number one mistake I see people make when they come on my podcast is they're just not really prepared to have a conversation about what they're doing to help other people.
And that's right. And it's also about having a system, like what we were talking about on your podcast. What's the first paid step with you? Because what then do you need to talk about in order to get them to convert to that first paid step? And that is something that's really massive, right? Like becoming a master of it, like what you're saying, if you have one presentation or two presentations that you do regularly, you can teach people, like you can get on podcasts and be confident in what you're talking about because you've structured the topics, correct?
Yeah, it's about building the foundation before you start going out and just hopping on podcasts. Actually, hopping on random podcasts, what I call random podcast guesting, is the worst thing you can do for your brand because it confuses people. Those podcasts are going to stay up for a really long time, maybe forever, because, you know, whatever we put out there in the sphere, it just stays there, and people will stumble across it. I've stumbled across content that people put up many years ago and actually ended up getting into a program that they had that they hadn't talked about for years, because I saw some content that they put up and it was really good. It was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So you have to keep that in mind before you start looking for the podcast that you want to go on. And then you need to make sure that you're set up, you have your funnel all set up. At the very least, make sure all your links work. I know how many people I go to wherever they tell me to go to, and their links don't work.
Yep. And here's another next level awesome thing is you can have your funnel set up, and then amazing people like Jill, who invited me on her podcast, I can say to her, hey, Jill, I have an affiliate program if you would love to. And that way you are monetizing their podcast for them. So they get really happy about promoting you because they're making a commission or they're making something out of it as well. Honestly, guys, if you are doing it alone, truly you're doing it the hard way. Wouldn't you agree, Jill?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And affiliate programs just make the world, they make everybody happy. And it's so easy to share something that you're part of with other people. And by doing an affiliate link, yes, you're going to be splitting your commission, or you're splitting whatever you're making, but really half of nothing is still nothing, and half of something is half of something that you wouldn't have had before. So you're also lending your credibility. So you need to be careful when you do other people's affiliates, because you're lending your credibility to that person also.
Exactly.
And
so like you're saying, is you need to be smart about it. So you need to know the person, and this is why we target people on social media who have our audiences. You need to make sure that they're on it. So I've had conversations with people before I'll get on, like Jill and I've had conversations. We know each other. But we have the ability to tap into each other's audience, and I have the ability to give Jill a percentage, which I would never potentially have found all the people that Jill has on her list anyway. So 20% of sales to be able to leverage into someone else's credibility every day of the week, I will give. And if you don't have the profit margins for it, up your price a little bit to include it. But honestly, being able to leverage other people's audience exactly like we're doing now makes a huge freaking difference, doesn't it?
It makes a huge difference. I'm seeing this, I can't see who it is that's clapping, but I love the emoji and the hearts. So, do you know who's joined us? Can you see that? This is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm just having all the fun.
So guys, I'm about to do a masterclass on this, and Jill has just proven an excellent point. If you are not, as part of your income producing activities every day, looking for people who have your people, and looking for people who have trust, who are credible, right? Because we don't get on everyone's, like Jill has said, then you are leaving money on the table. Honestly, you can spend your time on social media looking for every single little person, or you can look for people like Jill who has an established podcast, or you can look for people like me who already have credibility on our Facebook and do interviews with them and share each other's audience. That is leveraged time investment.
And we're going to have to get really good at this because Facebook is getting ready to maybe make it so that you can't use StreamYard and Zoom to do these lives anymore. So you're going to have to figure out how to make Facebook's lives work for you. So it's just kind of an interesting adventure.
So we just wanted to get on today and we wanted to talk to you about how do you explode your sales. Literally, let's be honest, the more people that we get looking at our sales pages and looking at our first paid steps, the more people that are coming to our social media, the more chance that we are giving ourselves to go viral, the more sales we make. That's just the straight truth, right? And like Jill is saying, when we are leveraging other people's audiences, and hello, if they have an affiliate program, that's massive because we're now creating passive income in our business. So Jill and I can take this live video. Jill could pop a link in for her thing, which could be my affiliate link, and I can pop a link in, which could be, and suddenly we have the ability to create income for both of us. Right?
Absolutely. And that's a win-win.
Yes, exactly. And in the economic environment that we live in, if we can help other people win and they can help us win, this is how we grow. If you look at the big names like Tony Robbins, like drop it in the chat if you've seen Tony Robbins recently. Is Tony Robbins doing it alone? I don't think he is. He has a whole bunch of speakers. He has a whole bunch of people that are providing bonuses for his programs. Tony Robbins is not creating his programs by himself anymore. But you are probably. And this is why Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson and Mel Robbins and Ed Milet and all of them are getting more reach from you and getting more sales because you're trying to do it all alone and they're leveraging other people's audience and they're leveraging other people's genius.
And then another little thing I know about Tony Robbins, because I actually saw Tony Robbins back in the day when he was first starting out. And I went to a conference that he held. There were only 50 people in the room.
Yep.
Which will tell you everybody starts at the beginning. And this was many, many years ago, maybe 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
But he got ready and started talking. And he mentioned Mother Teresa. So he's borrowing somebody else's credibility because he didn't have his own at that time. And he mentioned Captain Steve Coffey. And the funny thing is, Captain Steve Coffey was my neighbor. When I lived in Hawaii, when I was a teenager, he had sons that we had the corner on lifeguards and on the base. But just like he was borrowing some, Captain Coffey was really famous because he was a prisoner of war, and he was a life coach back years before that was a thing. But it's leveraging other people's credibility if you don't have your own.
Exactly. And it's helping each other. Like, honestly, guys, together we all rise. Yeah. Together we all rise. The big names are not doing it by themselves. So why are we? Right? Yeah. And imagine if the next year you decided to create a community of coaches and people like you, right? That you all can be leading people to each other. Imagine if your goal, one of your social media goals, was to bring on one JV partner or one affiliate or one interview every single week. That means that by the end of the week, you have 52 pieces of content that you can be engaging on and popping back up into the algorithm. Because literally Jill and I can keep coming back to this and engaging on it and bringing it back into the algorithm all year long. So you create a Word doc with the links to all of these and you go and you engage on them and they bring them back into the algorithm. Or you go to the podcast post that you've done and you engage on that and you bring it back into the algorithm. How much leverage do you think that gives you at the end of the year?
It's massive, and it's content that you can also use strategically when you're reaching out and making new friends, and the synergy just keeps growing and growing.
Absolutely. And whatever we talk about helps both of our audiences. So we're providing value at the same time. And we can download this interview. I can then put it into my paid program. Jill can put it into her paid program, make it a bonus of her group or whatever. But suddenly we're not creating content by ourselves anymore. I have an extra thing in my program now that has value, and Jill has an extra thing in her program that now has value. Are you guys getting this? Like, drop it in the comments if you're truly getting the power of this. Imagine if it wasn't just one. Imagine if every week your goal was to do 1 on your profile and 9 on other people's profiles.
Yeah.
That's 520 pieces of content, plus the podcast that you do with the help of Jill, right? That's not 520 posts that you can be boosting into their algorithm. So every time they've got new friends, they're seeing your post potentially. Like, do you guys get the power of this?
Yes, it just like the synergy going back and forth between doing this with different people, and it just like, this is a way to spread your reach where you don't have to depend on the algorithm to push it out.
Absolutely.
You're actively pushing it out and creating the kind of content really that Facebook was created to have us create. They don't want us going off the platform and farming it back in. They want us doing stuff on the platform. That's why they made it for us.
Hello, if we keep people on their platform, guess what? They get more ad money. That's just the truth. So if we are the people that's creating content that keeps people on their platform, whether it's us reacting and engaging on people's posts and them engaging back with us, or it's us creating content like Jill and I are doing, Facebook rewards you and you get more organic reach. Exactly. Yes, I love the fact that we get to help each other, leverage each other, and that means that nobody ever has to struggle in their business. Nobody has to struggle, because
we're just all pushing it forward together.
Exactly. And Jill can find another person to do a live with, and I can go live with Elle, and I can go live with Cindy, and I can go live with everybody on this that's live. Like, drop it in the comments if you would like to go live with Jill and I, because we would love to spread our message, and we would love to help you spread your message as well, like, honestly. But now you have, not only do you have the podcast interviews that Jill will teach you to get, which is not my genius zone, which is why we have Jill, right? But I'm teaching you how to find people that have the podcast and find people that have the audience. Like, guys, it's massive.
Yeah, and just increasing your reach by, we're here to build communities, but you don't have to do it in groups, apparently. You can do it right on your profile, and it's even better. And it's so simple. I mean, really, Faith was like, well, let's just hop on Facebook and go live. And you do have to do it on your phone. Okay, so if you're a dinosaur like me and you're all about the laptop, just get over it. It's really easy to go live, and one person goes live, and then the other person watches for the live and then clicks on it, and then there's a little thing that you push that'll ask you if you want to join. It could not be easier.
Exactly. Now imagine if this was a daily income producing activity. Imagine if it was a daily income producing activity, right?
And it's fun.
It is.
You get to talk to somebody that you like.
Exactly. And that's what it's about, guys. Honestly, if you're trying to do it alone, stop it, because you're wasting your time. You can either look for your clients individually on Facebook. Let's be honest, Jill is a potential client for me. I'm a potential client for Jill. So I've still looked for an individual client, right? But Jill has an audience and I have an audience. So that means that we're looking, we could be each other's potential clients, but we also have potential clients for each other. You want to talk about impact? That is impact. Everybody, like, let's say Jill has a list of 500 people. I don't know how big Jill's list is, right? And I have a list of 500 people. That's another 500 people. Imagine if I did that multiple times. Like if we did 520 lives this year, like, do you get that, guys? That's like, I mean, I'm not a math person, but I'm like, that's a lot of people. Like, I'm going to say around 25,000. Do not quote me on maths. It is not my thing. But do you get this?
Yeah.
Right?
It grows exponentially too, because other people will see it and they'll share it with their friends or tag their friends in it. And it could be your friends, it could be my friends. And then it's suddenly like going out in places that you didn't expect it to go. And it just gets a life of its own. And it reaches out into the ether and it meets up with the people that it's supposed to meet up with. But if you're not
Exactly.
reaching out and doing these lives and just going for it, sometimes you just got to go for it.
And like we've got proof right in the comments right now. Elle has tagged two people. Thank you so much, Elle, for sharing. Guys, if you're loving this, by all means, tag the people who needed to hear this today, right?
Yeah.
But it's true, right? And we can keep boosting this post into the algorithm because we use smart leverage strategies, right? It just makes so much of a difference. Elle, there you go. And now Elle potentially seeing Jill, and those people that come on the Elle's tag is also potentially seeing Jill. Like, guys, this is just like a no-brainer. It's just like a no-brainer.
Okay, so I just discovered how to see the comments. I see Elle's comments.
See, everyone's
I'm really like just
learning. And that's what it's about, right? It's about, well, how can we be smart? How can we be leveraged? I've literally just done a podcast interview with Jill where we talked about how groups are not the best use of your time anymore. This live video has the potential of going viral, right? This live video can be shared with people. There's no group algorithm in the middle of this live video. Jill can tag people, I can tag people, I can share this, Jill can share this. We can download this video and put it into our groups or put it into our paid programs. Like, that is the power of smart leverage strategies. If we had done this in a group, first, we're fighting a group algorithm, but second, there's a limited amount of people that can see it. Whereas when we do it live on our profile, like what we have done here, Jill's people see it, Georgie sees it, Elle sees it. There's no barrier of entry. Like if you're doing free content, do it in a smart leverage way. Wouldn't you agree, Jill?
Absolutely. I just, this makes so much more sense. It's so easy and it's honestly just like so fun. I keep saying that, but who knew it could be so easy? And we're all about easy and simple because
ram it up. Awesome. Now tell me, Jill, with your genius on, what are some words of advice that you want to give anyone who is joining this that maybe has never thought of leveraging podcasts before or leveraging interviews? What are your genius words as we begin to sign this off?
Well, my genius words, if you're looking to do podcasts, are to make sure that you're going on the right podcasts. Go look for other podcasts out there that are actually marketing to your target audience. Listen to a few of them. Reach out to those podcast hosts and see if you can't get on their podcasts, because that's where your people are hanging out. But before you do that, make sure that you know what you want the audience to do after the conversation, and then have some idea of how you want the conversation to go. Yeah, a podcast host will get on there and chat with you about whatever they want to chat about. But if you're going to spend the time to go on their podcast, A, you want to give their listeners value. And B, you want to make sure that you're getting something for your time, which is to move them to taking the next step with you. Whether, you know, Faith is all about make them pay for it. Well, I think I'm coming around to that idea. Stop giving your shit away for free.
Amen. Amen. You worked hard for it. Now, I went to a vet yesterday and I didn't walk into that vet for the 20 minutes and go, give me all your knowledge for free. That vet charged me $102 without mercy for their genius. And they freaking should. You business owner, like a mechanic, a plumber, a landscaper, whatever, you deserve to be paid for your knowledge. And I will say this every day of the week. We are in the only industry where people spin the crap to provide everything for free and to prove your worth. You don't need to. If you're going to do free content, like what Jill and I are doing right now, Do it in a way that it's leverageable, right? Guys, if you want a replay for this, by all means drop replay in the comments and Jill and I will get you the replay, right? But this replay is like Facebook. We can keep boosting it forever. And that's the whole reason we do social media. Find amazing people like Jill. Jill invited me to her podcast. I didn't even have to do anything. Literally, just help her in the DMs, which is what I did. I did not spam her. Jill, have I spammed you?
No, you didn't. You reached out to me to help me solve 2 problems I didn't even know I had, which, that's amazing.
Yep.
I love it when people help me with problems I didn't even know I had. And that makes me curious about them. It's like, what other problems do I have that they can solve?
Exactly.
Which is another
So
big thing.
there you go, guys. There you go. Leveraging podcasts, leveraging interviews. And Jill has an amazing thing where she's taught us the microphones to use and all of that kind of stuff, because that's important. You want to come on and look like a professional when you're doing these interviews. But imagine the power of this, guys. I want you to do the maths for a second, okay? Now, I'm not a maths person, but do the math. If you worked at doing 1 or 2 of these on your personal profile every week, and you worked at getting on other people's profile and getting on podcasts like Jill is talking about and how Jill teaches you, I want you to think about where you'll be in a year from now and how many pieces of content potentially you can leverage, right? How much credibility you get, how much SEO you get, because when Jill puts my podcast up with my name, with my brand, with my links, it's another opportunity for me to SEO, right? When Jill puts me on her YouTube, it's another opportunity for me to SEO. So even if you suck at SEO, you can win based on sheer volume, right?
And when I put you on my website and I feature you in the Coach's Corner, it's another piece, and it's a backlink to your other stuff that you're doing. And when people put your name into Google, then suddenly there's like all these pieces of content around your name.
Hello, It's
a big deal.
Yeah. Hello, credibility. So sometimes you may not have the skills like SEO skills, but you can win based on sheer volume. And if you don't believe us, go Google Ed Milet, go Google Mel Robbins. Both of their books was made bestsellers, not by anything other than interviews. They literally did every podcast, every YouTube, every Facebook Live, every single interview they could to be able to be bestsellers. In fact, Mel Robbins was told that the bookstores wouldn't carry her books because she wasn't big enough.
But I'm sure she did strategic podcasting. She did just go on those podcasts and randomly talk about whatever the host wanted to talk about. There was an agenda, and she told her stories, but her stories led back to buying her book.
Yep. Exactly. Having a leverage strategy. And I mean, I bet you Mel Robbins wasn't getting on some rando cryptic currency podcast, for instance, right? She was getting on the podcast with the people that had her audience. People that were already loving that person, who knows, likes, and trusts that person. People who had her audience. And her book became a New York Best Time seller. It became an Amazon bestseller, like insane, right?
And people that listen to podcasts are people that have money.
They do.
They've done the statistics on it, and LinkedIn has people that average about 50,000 a year. You got the lower end and the way higher end. But podcasts, it's up around 75,000 is the average income of podcast listeners.
Because it's a status symbol for those names, right? Like, let's be honest, okay? They may not be on a Facebook Live, but they're on a podcast because they can say to their friends, oh my God, I listened to 3 podcasts this week and I read 2 books. So some of those big CEOs and the bigger names, they may not be on a Facebook Live, right? But we can take this interview, strip the audio, make it a podcast. We can take this interview, put it on YouTube, for instance, right? Which is massive for podcasts at the moment. Now you are giving them content, as long as you are doing it in a good way. Nobody needs babbling people, right? But now you're tapping into a market that maybe isn't on Facebook.
Yeah.
They are the
You
people.
can
Like
upload it to SoundCloud. You can upload it. There's lots of places. There's a platform called Substack that you can also post your podcast. You don't have to pay for it. Just it's its own ecosystem. It's kind of interesting group over there. But
and this is amazing,
there's
guys. Like insane amounts of opportunity, isn't there? Because we can take this live, strip out the fluffy stuff in it, and do the same thing, can't we?
yeah. It's
One piece of
and
content, multiple ways.
yeah, and you multiply it. Even if you only do one a week, that's 52 pieces. But this can be chopped up into shorts. Also, take the little nuggets out of it and put those up as reels, or put
That
them
lead
as
back
shorts
to
on YouTube.
the original content, that lead back to the podcast, that lead back to the YouTube channel. So
Yep.
many different ways, guys. Like if you're not doing interviews, you are leaving money on the table.
Yep.
And you're missing an audience with money.
Yeah. And it's a chance to meet new people and expand your horizons. And just hopping on Facebook Lives is like so fun. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these.
I am so happy. So my point was to prove to Jill how easy this was and to show her a leveraged way to use the interviews that she has coming up in her group in a more strategic way. And that, I think, has been proven. Wouldn't you agree, Jill?
I agree. To answer your question, Al, I have heard of Clubhouse. Substack is different than Clubhouse in that it's kind of like Patreon and Facebook and WordPress
Clubhouse
all had a love
kind
child. I'm sorry?
Clubhouse is kind of dying, right?
Yeah,
Let's
I
be
think
honest,
so.
it's kind of dying. And I tried Clubhouse for a while, and oh my God, people just rabbit on forever. And if you're someone like me that wants simplicity and simple, I do not want to listen to people chatting for 4 hours about something before I get a chance to even speak.
Yeah.
So it's not my class.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we just wanted to jump on. I am super excited to run a masterclass on this to talk about the Facebook side of it. And Jill is awesome at podcasts. Please drop it in the chat if you would love to talk to Jill about the podcast. Maybe you deserve an interview on it as well. You never know, right?
Yeah.
So drop it in the chat if you want to talk to me. But guys, seriously, if you are not doing interviews, if you are not leveraging other people's audiences, you are leaving money on the table. Doing it alone is the hard one. So we hope we've shown you that today. And literally, this was a live video that was planned 0 minutes in advance. But again, it doesn't matter. Get on, show your personality, show your genius zone in a way that can be leveraged. Because y'all, if you love this, tag people who needed to hear this. Share it to them in their messages. Awesome, Georgie. Well, I'm going to be doing a masterclass on the social media side of it and connect with Jill, who does the podcast side of it, if that's what you would love to do, okay? We just wanted to get on and show you how simple this can be, right? And guys, don't overthink it, Elle. I know you're a planner. I love you. But you need to take action, and sometimes the only way to do it is just to do it and be prepared to suck. So it's okay to start on smaller ones and then get better. The other thing is, obviously, Jill, you would attest to this, practice. Practice. Turn your camera on and speak to it. Then watch it back. How could you improve? Turn it on, speak to it again, right? Practice. Because the only way you get better at videos, right? The only way you get better at podcasts is practice speaking. Wouldn't you agree, Jill? What's your tips, okay? If you are new at video and you're new at podcast, have you got any tips for them?
Yeah, when I first got started, I had a friend when YouTube was really new, and we just decided we were going to do a video a day, and it was a random video. We just had to do a video every day about something. But it just gets you in the practice of doing it. And I'll tell you, when I first started the podcast, it's called the U World Order Showcase podcast. And it's a takeoff of the New World Order. And I hadn't said it enough, so I stumbled over the name of my own podcast on the first episode. But it didn't stop me. I've done like over 300 interviews now. So it's just, you just keep moving forward. This is still up. But
Exactly. You get better. You get better for practicing. And now I will say, from an algorithm perspective, guys, do not go live on Facebook every single day because it will kill your algorithm. I proved that in November last year. But you could do a little reel every day, right? You could do a Facebook Live twice a week. You could do one Facebook Live on your own, one interview, right? You could have a reel. Like, there's so many different ways that you can do video these days. Even if you don't publicly post them, your goal is to turn on your camera and speak to yourself. Even stories. I was talking about this in my masterclass the other day in my program. Get in your stories and do stories. Face-to-camera stories is a great way to practice. Put captions on them. It's a great way for people to get to know you, and it's a great way to practice, and it's gone in 24 hours even if you suck. But here's the thing. Some of the videos you think you fucking failed at are amazing, and people buy as a result of them.
yeah, people love to root for underdogs to begin with.
Do.
And they want to encourage you. They want you to succeed. So, let them.
Yeah.
We're a society that is really bad at accepting help and accepting praise. And sometimes you just have to be a little not the best. Let somebody else be the best and let them encourage you.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
Good too.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Someone who is equal to you, above you, will never pull you down. They will always encourage you. So it's a great way to root out the people that need to be deleted. But also, people will rah-rah you, right? When you may not be the best, they'll be like, oh my God, awesome for getting on camera, girl. So hello, engagement, even if you suck, right? Because people want to encourage you. People want to see real. They don't want to see everything absolutely perfect all the time because it's not relatable. Be vulnerable. Yeah. Be real. I suck, but I'm still here anyway, honey. And you know what? You got to suck to get to bad. You got to get to bad to get to good. You got to get to good to be great. You got to be great to be phenomenal. Years into it, I still fucking hate live videos, but I do them.
And you're really good at them.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I can't wait for your masterclass. I think it's going to be fun.
Because we talk about leverage social media strategies, right? We work smarter, not harder. Although we do work. This is not no work business. It's a network business, right?
Yep. It's not on lay around on the couch and get rich quick.
No. I don't really want to lay around on the couch and get rich. I think that my butt would be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on. Obviously, if you know people who need this, please share it to your stories because we don't share it on our profile. We know that doesn't get any reach. Or tag people in the post and let them know how this strategy, this one simple strategy, can explode your impact, explode your reach, and explode your sales. Thank you so much, Jill. It was awesome to have you on.
It was so fun. Thank you so much, Faith, for inviting me.
Bye for now.